Hi, it's Colin Cowherd. I started The Volume to bring you some of the most authentic voices in sports. While you're here, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks. Joe Judge was fired, head coach of the New York Giants. So I got a call a day ago from a defensive coach in the NFL that coached against the Giants. Here's the first thing he said. He goes, the first thing the Giants have to do is get rid of Joe Judge. It has been chaos, according to his buddies, inside the Giants. The second thing he said was, this is the worst offensive line by far in the NFL. And he said, here's what's interesting. They released Kevin Zeitler like a year ago. He was their second best offensive lineman. At the time, arguably their best. He goes to the Baltimore Ravens and signs a 3-year deal worth $22.5 million. So they draft Andrew Thomas. Now, he came in the pandemic year out of Georgia, and he was a little overwhelmed with no preseason for the first year. But this coach said, Thomas is going to be a 10-year starter. Great kid, getting better. After that, he said they have 4 backups joining him on the offensive line. That he felt it was a roster full of backup offensive linemen and Andrew Thomas. So he said, regardless of who they get, Gettleman never replaced Zeitler. They had an injury to a center, so now they have a backup to an average offensive lineman. Whoever takes over, they've got to get the O-line fixed. It is the lowest ranked O-line in the league. And my coaching contact said in all his years, he'd never seen an offensive line that was less talented. Secondly, on Joe Judge, this is what I heard from somebody I trust. So years ago, I worked out east, as you know, in Connecticut. Connecticut is overwhelmingly, half the state is Patriot fans, half the state New York Giant fans. So over the course of time, I made friends with a former New York Giant employee who was reasonably up the food chain, still has connections to the team. So, once or twice a year, we talk. So I texted him at the end of the year on Joe Judge. And his takeaway was, this job is not secure. He said, just wait for a week. And I said this on the Herd FS1. This is in a real murky area. Well, apparently the murky went sideways. But Joe Judge was combative, was very much a my way or the highway guy, reportedly got into a fight in the last 24 hours with his offensive line coach. I can tell you, this person said that Jason Garrett was at wit's end dealing with him. So just a lot of chaos with Joe Judge. And this is another Belichick assistant that, proximity to greatness doesn't equal greatness. Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, that it's another Belichick assistant that comes into an organization very strong-willed and tries to dictate terms and simply doesn't have the respect or the resume to back it up. That was Matt Patricia, and that's what I'm hearing Joe Judge was. But regardless of who they hire, this is a horrific offensive line. You start looking around the teams in the NFL playoffs, find me the bad O-lines in the playoffs. We always pay attention to defenses and quarterbacks and coaches. Find me the awful offensive lines in the playoffs. Cincinnati's is probably the weakest. After that, most are average or above average.